Today I'd like to talk about guilt by association. And I'd like to start by talking about logic. Um, if you if you think about how humans act cognitively, you can see that we're always trying to understand things around us, and we need to organize the information that we gather, and we need to make inferences from what we have experienced so that we can apply it in the future. Now, um, so I'll give you an example where if you are in a jungle and there's a tiger that shows up, and the experience that you have with this tiger was that he wanted to attack you, and it was frightening, and it was a bad experience, and you learn that you need to stay away from tigers. So you have acquired knowledge from this animal, and what your brain will try to do, well, we do this consciously for many other things, but it also works unconsciously at lower levels, where you're trying to remember as much as you can about the situation, so that if there's another situation with something else that is similar to that, then you could infer that that other animal could also be a threat and also be something to stay away from. So if you see a tiger, you're going to notice the teeth, you're going to notice the shape, the size, the tail, the claws, the eyes, the look, the face, the movements. You're gonna look at a lot of things. And now if you have another situation where you meet something and you don't know what it is, and we'll call it a lion, saying that we know what it is, um, but for you in that situation you don't know it. It makes sense for you to look at the lion and see how similar that lion is to the tiger. And even though it's the first time you meet a lion, it makes sense for you to make some inferences in that this lion will probably have similar characteristics to the tiger, and from that, your action, how you should react, should therefore be similar to how you reacted in the situation of the tiger. And this runs really deep. You can see from the example, it totally makes sense, and this is how we are able to navigate through novel experiences by making inferences from past experiences. So this is an incredibly powerful feature of how our brain works. There are tons and tons of information that you gather that you don't notice. You see something happening, a lot of information comes in, and then you are in another situation, and there are things that are similar, and you're going to act in this situation according to your past experience. And although you can use language to describe and analyze what is similar, there are many other levels of subconscious associations being made that you're not even aware of, and you have to respect those. So this is an incredibly good tool, but a very powerful tool, but we are also aware that this could lead us to make some mistakes. So when we say something like don't put everything in the same boat, what we're trying to say is it's not because you had this experience with these three people or these three things that it necessarily mean that it's going to be the same on the fourth time. So I don't know, if you meet three people and those three people wore blue shirts and they were all mean to you, it doesn't mean that the next person with the blue shirt will be mean to you as well. So you should give them the benefit of the doubt. So this is a very simplistic example, and we can see how, of course, we're not going to draw that inference, but there are inferences that we make that we're not aware of that gets us in trouble. And that's why the subconscious association sometimes can be very good, but also be detrimental. So that's why we analyze how we act to be able to discern when it is legitimate for us to make inferences and act in situations that remind us of past situations, and when we should be open and give the benefit of the doubt of the situation and not draw conclusions too quickly. So this is when you're being wise and you understand yourself and you understand the context of the situation. So given that we know this, now let's talk about something else. And then afterward, I'm going to link these two topics that I talked about to talk about guilt by association. So now I want to talk about theory of mind. So theory of mind is our capacity of being able to understand that other people also have their own subjective view of the world, and that they view things differently, but also more importantly, that they do not have the same information as we have in some specific context, and they are going to act in ways that are according to the information that they have. So if I know something and I act upon that knowledge, and I meet someone else who doesn't have it, I have to have the theory of his mind not having the information, and that the way he's going to act will be different than how I would. And I can predict how he's going to act based on this different information that he has. So, and this is something that psychologists can test when it happens. Like, there are moments where kids will realize that other people have different knowledge because they have been witness to certain things. There's like a very specific moment where we humans acquire this capacity. And when we acquire this capacity, we're able to understand that other people have their own subjective view of the world, that they make their own inferences from their own experiences. And this is useful for us to know together, to work together, because it's useful if I want to teach you something to understand how it is not to know that knowledge and be able to present it in a certain way. So so this capacity we have of understanding theory of mind is very, very important. Where that leads us to is that we are able to understand that other people have their own subjective experiences of drawing conclusions from certain experiences and making generalizations which will make them act in certain ways. And if that's the case, it means that ourselves are going to be subjected to the idea that people will make about you based on how you are acting, and how you yourself are acting might remind them of other people that they've met, and they might draw a conclusion about you based on previous experiences. And now this is this is what happens when we have people that are racists. They make generalizations. They feel like this group of people are like that, and that all the others are going to be like that. They have this idea inside their heads about specificity, generalizations about a certain group of people. Now what it brings me as to guilt by association is that there are moments where we will act in certain ways or have certain opinions, and we are going to realize that the people that we are with, because of their own experiences, might draw these ways of these ideas of these ways of being and associate them with other people that they heard or they read about or they have interacted with, which has certain properties, and they're going to make the association being that what I know about this person might be similar to what this person is, because there is a link there, there's a correlation, there's a similarity. And because we are aware that people have this tendency to do it, we're going to refrain sometimes from saying things that we actually believe are true, while we are still very separate from other types of ideas that these other people have. And so this is a result of really thinking binary. So like in a political system, you have these groups of people, and these are all the ideas that they have, and this is the opposing group, and these are all the ideas that they have, and we kind of there isn't a lot of sophistication if we believe that someone from that group cannot hold this particular ideas that the other group has, because this is the definition of who they are and how they're going to act. So because we are aware of other people's tendencies to group and to make inferences, we're going to sometimes refract from expressing what we truly believe. And in some cases, it is legitimate. It is sometimes it might be the good thing to do, because it's possible that the people looking at you are indeed like that. They are going to make the link, and they won't be able to make the separation that your ideas of what you're saying doesn't make you doesn't give you the characteristics of other people who have also share this specific idea. So sometimes it's legitimate, but ideally we would want to be able to have the confidence of making that separation. But also importantly, we need other people to be able to make this distinction. So in order for us to not fall in the trap of guilt by association, we need to ourselves be educated and understand like the cognitive processes that are operating, but also make sure that other people that we're talking to and we're interacting with also are aware of it. Like both parties need to be aware of it, and so that we don't fall in the trap of not being truthful to our deep ideas of what we really believe. I think the only way that it works is if everyone is aware of it. So I encourage people to really reflect on those small moments where you make quick logical associations and you draw a judgment and ask yourself, is this useful? Is this legitimate? Or is this a case where I should be cautious about this inference and I'm going to dig further into my experience to make sure that this inference is indeed legitimate. So yeah, there you go. Thank you.